Alright, how's everyone doing? So, today, on the 28th of September, 2010, I went up to the local Barnes& and Nobles, and I picked this up. The new Phil Collins album, Going Back. Now, the CD itself is brilliant because it made me remember a couple things. One, it made me go back to the days when I would be in the car with my grandmom's Aunt Juicy, and I would be sitting in there and listening to WOGL and listening to a bunch of Motown. And those were the good old days. You know what I mean? Like the good old days of music when you didn't have to worry about jack shit. You just sat there, you enjoyed it, and the songs may lasted 2 minutes, but you didn't give a damn. Because it was good. There is one problem I had with this CD. You know what it is? It made me remember the sad state of music, at least in this country, in we'll say about the past 10 years. Now, a lot of people know me as the guy who was the, we'll say passionate, because that's the God honest truth, gentleman who, when he does his videos at 2 a.m., usually manages to preach the word of the Bible about, you know, Japanese animation and J-pop and all that stuff. There's a reason for that. See, over that past 10 years, here's what's happened. Television, whether we want to believe it or not, has gotten really bad. Meanwhile, at least television here has gotten really bad. So if you want to watch anything good, you have to watch like BBC America. If you get it, you watch like the Canadian Broadcast Company or Corporation, or TSN. You know, so you watch those channels, or any of the other international channels you may get. And then you realize one other thing. It's like, well, musically, what's happened? Well, here's what's happened. Because MTV and VH1 only really show music videos early in the morning, if at all, the chances of actually finding any, and I'm quoting this term, good music is slim to none. Especially with MTV, because they've appealed mostly to the younger generation, and VH1 was supposed to be the older generation's station, if you will. However, as we all know, or as we mostly all know, VH1's become more of a lifestyle channel for ladies, and they also put on programs for the gay and lesbian community, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, but you kind of have to try and remember, you know, what did the VH1 and MTV originate as? But anyways, that's I've done that story to death, I think, at least once. So what happens? Well, you end up finding people who, when they listen to music nowadays, they think that so-and-so is the next great artist. I got news for you. So far in this decade, I've only found really one singular group that I can actually sit there and go, they have a future. And that is, and that's from this country, and that is Maroon 5. Matter of fact, one day when I was in the dentist's office, I actually compared them to being the next Genesis. And the hygienist that I was talking to actually agreed with me and said that they could see that. See, here's a good portion of what happens. A lot of artists in the pop genre are female. At least I think so. And some of them got their jugs hanging out, so, and they're no talent, they're hacks, and they're a bunch of bullshit, to be perfectly honest. So what ends up happening is we get force fed, and of course this all started because back in the 90s, what were the two main boy bands that we had to listen to? NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. Now people are going to look at me and go, well, who are you to judge what's good music and what's bad music? Look, good music and bad music is a matter of personal taste. That's fair to say. However, just so we're clear, I've listened to everything. I've listened to artists like Smokey Robinson. I listened to Al Green. I listened to the Tramps. I've listened to Roy Orbison, George Strait. I've listened to Brooks and Dunn. I've listened to, Van Halen. I've listened to Phil Collins. I've listened to something from Poison. I've listened to probably Whitesnake. I've listened to a bunch of music. So I think I have I think I can, quantify what will be at least passable to my ears that I'm not going to want to, shut off a YouTube video or shut off the TV or shut off the radio and go commit Harry Carey. What ends up happening is that artists are trying to reinvent themselves. But unfortunately, what a lot of artists don't do is they don't look at, some of the older time periods and go, that was some pretty good shit. Maybe we should try to do something like that. I mean, Christ. Mr. Collins has been around for decades. Okay? And this entire CD is nothing but a Motown cover album. Yeah, it is one of the best albums, or it is one of the best CDs. Yes, I do still call them albums at times. I've listened to in years. Okay? This is not counting, however, the Celtic Woman CDs that I've listened to, because those are brilliant. And see, that's the other thing. It disturbs me as a music lover that if I want to listen to good stuff, I have to go pre-1990 or pre-boy band era to find the good music. I think the running joke with me, as I've said to people, is I've listened to over 5 million songs. And probably about as many artists, but if not a little less. But it's like, just please someone explain to me what happened. I mean, there's a group that's from, I think it's New Zealand, and they're called Within Temptation. Symphonic metal group. Brilliant. There's a group called Nightwish. Again, fucking outstanding. It's like, where? What happened? What happened between now and we'll say the 1970s? Hell, we'll go 1960s, 50s. I once asked this question on a forum, about what was the earliest decade of music you've listened to. I've had people say from the 1920s to the 1950s. And my point was, it seemed to me like you you have to go back to find what we would quantify as, I don't know, decent. And it just bothers me because what's going to happen is these youngins, when are you going to grow up? Justin Bieber, Miley Ray Cyrus. My God, where do we fucking go? And you know what kind of started this music discussion? We were talking about, me and my grandmother were talking about Dancing with the Stars. And Michael Bolton got eliminated. Now, he's a good singer. He was apparently a pretty crap dancer. But I said they should try getting Kylie Minogue on there. But then I said, no, wait a minute, that wouldn't be fair because she could probably run rings. She can do rings around anyone that's on that show. Hell, any American, she can do rings around any American artist. That's just a fact. I mean, she's one of the best-selling artists. I think she's from Australia, and of all time. And you got people like her. You got people like Enya. You got people like, I don't know. Fuck, Natasha Bedingfield might be something by the time she's done. There's some artists that will never make 10 years, and yet and those artists that don't make 10 years probably deserve to, or have a very long and successful career. Then you get the people that last a really long time and they're absolute shit. They're god awful. The really surprising thing is, you know what one genre of music I'm finding that actually doesn't really get up for anything in any way, shape, or form? The country western. Think about it. You go and look through the country western genre. There's probably more artists that made it big versus artists that were busts. And it's more because they figured out what the fuck a song was, and they figured out you didn't have to do all kinds of fandy damn bullshit to get your point across in the song. So why does the pop genre have to do it? Oh, and trust me, there's a bunch of good rappers out there, but let's understand this. And I've said this before. Rap and music are mutually exclusive. There's rap, but there's no such thing as rap music. I'm not the biggest metalhead, but even I gotta give those people that section of the music industry their props. And the hard rock, and you know, there was a bunch of good artists between the 50s to the 90s. Unfortunately, within that last decade, here's where we're going. At first we were going up, then just goes and news dives. Why? Can somebody please explain this to me? Or am I going to sit here scratching my head for the rest of my life trying to figure it out on my own? I don't know. Maybe y'all can help me with it. Please? Because I'm dying to know. Anywho, talk to you too.